perfection of God, complete and holy innocence of all creation, to accept within that the innocence that has always been is waiting to be recognized again. All of humanity as one, the one creation, holds within the truth of innocence, the truth of perfection. It has been buried in the name of separation. It has been buried in the name of knowing and the belief of being a separate identity. The journey to return to truth is a choice that each beloved will come to. And time itself doesn't matter at all, because time truly isn't reality. So there's never any worry, there's never any comparisons between one beloved and another of who has a greater awareness of truth. It is guaranteed that every beloved will remember. And time itself is the only obstacle that has been made through the mind in the belief of separation. Is there resistance to remembering love? Yes. The resistance is upside down and inside out. To be afraid of love, to be afraid to melt into the holy union of love is upside down. It's a trance state, a trance that says, I must protect my knowing, I must protect my identity. In that upside down protection, pain and suffering continues. The asleep state is active. It isn't a laying down and sleeping. It is an active state that continually indoctrinates with the beliefs of separation within the world. It isn't evil. It's just untrue. It is an illusion, a dream that has been accepted and is being called by love to be let go, to be surrendered. In this moment, every beloved has the opportunity to surrender into the hands of creation all that has been thought to be known of a separate self. The separate self that by intention, seeks but does not find. That is the ego's intention, to seek and do not find. In this perfect moment, there truly is only love. Nothing else exists. But the past screams. It screams constantly for attention. It screams with habit. It doesn't scream in such a way that you recognize that it's screaming, but it wants all attention. And it easily is given all attention because it's all that is known. And to turn to the truth of God engenders for most a fear of losing identity, of not being in control. But every beloved that awakens remembers and sees, oh, there was no control, because there truly is nothing that can be controlled. The idea of trying to control illusion is a painful place that every beloved has experienced. That as soon as you think you have control over something, everything changes again. That's really a deep source of fear. The deep source of fear that without control, you're going to be in danger. What is the remedy? The remedy is love, is God, and is surrender to the power of the universe. The power of the universe that is all love, and that you are completely one with. Every beloved has had that sensation, that sense of, I feel like a stranger in a strange land. How do I navigate when I don't feel that there is a oneness in my awareness? I feel disconnected. Every beloved has felt that. But in the truth of love of God, of the universe, that disappears. The sense of oneness, the truth of oneness, is recognized and embraced. But in this journey of love, it is truly a surrender into the power of God to return home and to allow the mind and the heart to be returned. The mind has been kidnapped by the knowing of separation. To surrender the mind back to God is to surrender the everyday, surrendering the everyday, the every thought, all comparisons, all levels and degrees of perceptions of differences. You won't end up without. Again, that's upside down. The striving to get in this third dimension is a place of pain. And this pain constantly is in a striving to get. But always feeling that disconnect with accomplishment. Not the accomplishment of success in the world, which can be a temporary illusion, but the sense of finally resting and belonging and being home. This is the journey of love, to return home where you truly exist as one. All of love is in service to you. To be recognized that you are surrounded by the power of God, by all the divine beings that serve love and answer your every prayer. To recognize that is to open to strength, to open to peace and harmony, so that you can rest for a while in the deeper truth and then continue in the remembering until the illusion of the past has disappeared and the future unfolds in love itself. These are not lofty ideas. This is the journey of love. The journey of love that every heart longs for and wants to return to the one heart, to return home. So in this moment is the acceptance possible of you are the innocence of love. Nothing else is true. You carry within you the wisdom of creation that has nothing, no resemblance at all to the thoughts of the doer, the knower, that lives in the illusion of separation. And the power of love wants to lead you and guide you, because when you are led and you are guided, the journey becomes so easy. Easy moment to moment. Trust is essential. Everyone trusts in the world, trusts what they know, trusts what they see, trusts the past, that you're right. But that trust is being called to be transformed into the trust of God. The word authority is a word that can actually stir a lot of fear. The idea of having an authority is something that the ego does not want to participate in, because the ego says, I am in charge. But the authority of love is all benevolence, is all love. It is the wisdom of the universe that can see nothing but love and recognizes, of course, that you are love, and to come back and home to that truth. In this moment is the calling to the divine, affirming that here in the infinite circle of love we are one. One heart, one breath, infinite, never ending, never broken, always one. The spirit, the divine spirit of love, reunites into the oneness of love, affirming that the universe is all love. This sanctuary is filled with love because love is all that exists. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And within this life force, we live and move and breathe as one. This is the journey of love. Returning to the place that you actually never left. And every beloved in that awakening recognizes nothing happened. There was only this love always. And the dream falls away easily, effortlessly, through your intention, through your choosing to remember. In this truth of love, allow this hymn to take you into the divine calling that recognizes and wants to remember the tenderness of truth. Just the tenderness, the mercy, the beauty. When there are no comparisons, there are no attachments to the perception of differences, but the willingness to truly accept the divine equality of all creation, that no one is less or more, that no one is different, that there truly is only the light of God. That's the only truth. So allow this prayer to open the heart a little more and remember that tenderness that is so exquisite. Feel your tenderness, I feel your tenderness. I feel the tenderness of your ever-loving hand. I feel your tenderness. I feel the tenderness. I feel the tenderness from deep within. I feel your mercy, Lord. I feel your mercy, Lord. I feel the mercy, Lord, of your ever-loving hand. I feel your mercy, Lord. I feel the mercy, Lord. I feel the mercy, Lord, from deep within. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord, of your ever-loving hand. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord, from deep within. I sense your truth, O Lord. I sense your truth, O Lord. I sense the truth, O Lord, of your ever-loving hand. I sense your truth, O Lord. I sense your truth, O Lord. I sense your truth, O Lord, from deep within. In the quiet inner silence, you find that beauty, you find that sense of truth, you find the mercy, and you find the tenderness. It's all within. It's all in that quiet heart space where you can hear the voice of God. It doesn't have a particular formula. Everyone hears that inner voice in many, many ways. But the calling is to go into that deep, quiet silence within. The ego speaks loudly, and it always speaks first. It always wants the center stage. And love doesn't compete. Love doesn't battle. So it's necessary to go into the quiet inner silence, the stillness, and commune with love. Allowing love to lead the way. And your prayer can become all day long, what would you have me do? What would you have me say? I don't know the way. Show me. I'm willing. And I'm willing to see everything through divine mercy. I'm willing to see everything through the tenderness that is found in the heart. I'm willing to remember the innocence of every beloved and surrender all ideas of comparisons or conflict of any kind, returning to the joy and the peace and the harmony that is the truth of your being. Love has no limitation, and the mercy of love has no structure that has to be protected in any way. Elevate my awareness to the truth of God. Let me recognize the brilliance of the light of God that shines in every moment, in everything. Let me see this brilliance of light as I look. It's a light that shines here constantly, that is available to see through the heart, the willingness to let God shine. I give my heart, and I want my heart to be healed. And I want my mind to be returned to the truth of love. I am here to sing in the name of love, and to praise all divine beings that serve all humanity and accepting the miracles of love in every moment as I say yes. Elevei o pensamento a Deus lá nas alturas para reconhecer o brilho da formosura, o brilho da formosura e uma luz de alento que limpa meu coração. O vigora meu pensamento, aqui eu vou cantando, que a minha lida resta, viva Rei Juramidã, e a rainha da floresta. All sacred prayers sing through the heart. It is totally not only possible but natural to walk in the world with your heart singing, to be in that constant communion with the divine is natural. It isn't natural coming from the ego thought system, but in the surrender of what is known and emptying that space and opening to that divine communion, it becomes more and more natural until it is the voice that is speaking. To allow yourself to become the instrument of love, of allowing the flow of God's love to just be everything, and open to being the flute that God plays through. Sometimes the song is words of comfort. Sometimes it's the awareness that it's only love. But it becomes the place of pure joy and peace, allowing the connection to be all that you want, all that is true. To wake up every morning with that intention. God, where do you want me today? Who would you have me bless today? Show me the way. Show me what's most helpful. I don't know. And I'm willing to be in the schoolroom of love in every moment. And in that, the answer is always there. It's right there. It's never anything that has to be sought after. You don't need to chase God. God is always patiently waiting for your invitation. It's only fear that stops the invitation. The fear of habit that says, I know how things should be, I know what it should look like, I know what should be next. But the place of happiness is, I don't know how it needs to be, but I'm willing that it is always God's will that you experience the joy, the peace, and the harmony of that true connection. And yet there is no rejection and no judgment when beloveds are in the forgetting. It's an amazing recognition to realize that there is absolutely no judgment in God, and that God sees nothing but love. There's nothing to see except love. The truth of love cannot see illusion. There is no judgment going on that is keeping a scorecard on your behavior or your willingness. The only thing that occurs is that your own willingness brings you back to peace, back to the deeper truth of who you truly are. The only punishment is self-punishment. The only punishment is self-attack. And that's the learning. To realize that all the thoughts of knowing are just self-punishment. The fear of love. And in that, this beautiful teaching, stop being so religious. What do sad people have in common? It seems they all have built a shrine to the past, and often go there and do a strange wail and worship. What is the beginning of happiness? It is to stop being so religious, because all it does is bring sadness. Sadness and sorrow are the ego's religion. It has been agreed on that sadness is normal, that pain is normal. But this self-attack has no reality in the truth of love. Love is wanting you to step out of the habit of the mind that has a deep, deep addiction to the belief of problems. The belief of problems says, I must look through the lens of seeing everything as its potential problem. But what that makes is a state of fear that can be paralyzing. What do sad people have in common? There's an agreement that they've built a shrine to the past. The only place that pain comes from is the past. This is why it's so essential to truly forgive the identity of the past, because it has no bearing on your divine self. The light that you are does not exist in the past. It's here now. It is in the present. The now is the only place where love exists. And God is constantly calling every beloved spirit to return here, to be here. Just imagine for a moment that in this holy instant, this now, here, you can't bring anything of the past with you. Everything that you've known is left behind. And it just disappears because it was just illusion. It wasn't reality. The love, any love that was the truth of love from the past, remains here now. But the identity, the story, the play, the roles that everyone took, the agreements that everyone made, it all disappears. And here you have your divine self. But with that divine self is every beloved that you have let go of the roles that were given to them. And they become one with you in the truth of love. You have so much power when you are aligned with the spirit of love. You step into the power that is your natural power as the instrument of God, as the light of God. And you have the power to forgive everything and everyone that you believed in the past. The power of forgiveness is the washing away of all perceptions of separation. Do you really have that power of transformation within you? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you were not able to join with the truth of God, if that was beyond the scope of possibilities, then everyone would be condemned to spin in this same incarnation for all eternity. And you would be at the mercy of what you actually thought was real from the past. You would be always at the effect of everything from the past. But none of that is true. In the power of your yes, the power and the grace of your yes, you open to the power of transformation through the power of forgiveness, where you realize I was mistaken. That was not the truth. Nothing that I knew of the past was reality. And I want to embrace and see the light, the truth, the innocence of all creation. I want to rejoin the truth of all creation. And you have that power within you. It isn't kept from you. It is within you as you surrender to the power of God, the power of the Holy Spirit, and accept that your spirit, your life force, is completely intact, pure, and holy. That you have done nothing to change the truth of your light, the truth of your innocence. Everything that you believe happened that you've held as a damage of yourself, a limitation, none of that's true. Does that mean that there's magic that will, let's say you have a leg that's missing. Does it mean that the leg grows back? No, not, because the body is not the truth of you. But you are no longer attached to whether that leg is there or not. It has nothing to do with your wholeness. It has nothing to do with your divine self. You are no longer at the effect of that leg being missing, because your divine spirit is whole and recognized. All the fear that runs in everyone is about the fear of death and the fear of harm to the body. The fear of harm to the body becomes its own prison. But it has nothing to do with the truth of who you are. And to surrender and forgive for the false identity of a temporary self is to be set free. all of the ideas of moods and attitudes and reactions within the world are all coming from the belief of being a body and belief that you can be less than the holy innocence of God, which is not possible. The opening of the heart is at the center of all healing. How do you open your heart? Through willingness to invite the power of God to transform everything. By surrendering into the hands of God all that you thought you knew about who you are. It is such a powerful prayer to affirm, I don't know who I am, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how to look on the world or on myself, but I'm willing to see what God sees. I am willing to accept the innocence, and I'm willing to be transformed. I used to have a prayer that at first, when the prayer first came to me, it terrified me because it crossed the line of surrender. And the prayer was, take everything that I have made up and leave everything that is the truth of oneness. Now, in that prayer, I was trusting that that prayer would be heard. I was trusting that that prayer would be acknowledged and that the power of God would transform. That if I asked for only the truth to remain, only the truth would remain. But it also, it brought fear with it, because if only the truth remains, then this fear came up of, then what? Who am I if I'm just the truth of God? But that was a place of the leap of faith. The leap of faith that I wasn't going to spend any more time being careful with God. I wasn't going to hold back anymore my intention, my wanting to remember the truth of oneness. I was putting it on the line as deeply as I could. Take everything that I've made up. Heal me of everything that is not the truth. I don't have to know what it is. I don't have to make sense of it. I'm saying yes only to the truth. I don't want anything else. And as that prayer became stronger and stronger, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your willingness is the key to your remembering, because love cannot intrude uninvited. Love will not take you and ignore your free will. We have the free will to be miserable. We have the free will to be joyous. But we have to choose. And it's in the everyday choosing that the strength begins to develop, that all day long, every beloved has the power within to choose. I could see peace instead of what I am now believing. What am I believing in right now that is not the truth of love? Are my thoughts in this moment peaceful? Are they joyful? If they're not of God. And I will choose again. This becomes the everyday life. The willingness for that conscious intention of where is my mind? In the old habits of pain and suffering, or am I surrendered in this moment? There's a beautiful prayer that I have to read because it deserves it. As we affirm and accept the truth of God, we accept our true name is one in God's. In this truth, we are united with all life, one within creation and Creator. What we made and call by many different names is but a shadow we tried to cast across reality of oneness. We are grateful we were mistaken, and we gladly surrender our mistaken differences to be dissolved into the truth of oneness, one heart and one life. This is the same prayer basically as take everything that I've made up. Everything that's not true, I willingly surrender it. The power that you have, not only for your own healing, which is essential. Your own healing is totally essential. It's like being in an airplane and the rule that they have in the airplane that when they drop down the oxygen that you put it on yourself first before you try to help somebody else, that you clear your heart and you clear your mind all day in surrender so that you can be of service of offering love, so that you are offering love. The ego tricks are well known and at the same time well hidden. And without the inquiry, the ego ideas just run. So it is essential to question, what am I believing in this moment? Not just as a general idea, but in this moment, in every moment, what am I believing in? Where is my heart? Am I experiencing peace? Am I experiencing joy? And if I'm not, it's not of God. And I'm going to choose again. And I'm going to choose again happily, because I don't want anything else but to be in the truth of peace. The relationship to pain is an addiction in the world. It's the belief that pain is justified, that struggle is justified, that worry is justified, that condemnation is justified, that hatred is justified. There's a never-ending supply But each beloved in the journey of remembering love is called deeply to remember and to affirm the calling of love. Each beloved is called to recognize you are the light of God that brings healing to creation and to humanity. You are the one who is called to affirm peace, to affirm harmony. And the only way that that's possible is in the honest recognition of what is being believed, what is running. Not with shame and guilt, but with just honesty and forgiveness. Immediately, as soon as you have a sense of disturbance, which can be just habitual, but as soon as you have a sense of disturbance, it's the moment of, I have a choice. I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to open to the truth that whatever I'm seeing is coming from my own mind and from the past. It isn't actually occurring out there. The meaning that I am giving every situation is coming from the past of my own mind. And this need not be. This is not the truth. And it isn't God's will. To make the connection that when you are upset over anything, that what you see is actually not there. That the upset that you are experiencing is coming from the past. It is always coming from the past. It's never here. And there's nothing actually that's occurring. Is there a cry for love many times? Absolutely. Cry for help? Yes. A place that another beloved can be believing in pain and suffering, and you're there to recognize this is not the truth of them, and to bring peace and harmony back to that beloved. Not to rescue them, not to pity them, not to reject them, but to hear the call for love and to truly answer that call. To recognize that grievances have no reality, none. And it doesn't matter what the grievances look like. Sometimes they're just a little nanosecond of a fly in the house, and your mind goes to, why is that fly in the house? Just that says, I want it thus, I don't like this, and there's a disturbance that I believe is happening to me. Or it can be what seems to be so much larger, but it's all not the truth. And in that acceptance, because it isn't recognized immediately, when you're in what seems to be a disturbance, it feels real. It feels justified. It feels like there should be something from the past to do with this. So it takes faith. It takes the acceptance of love and trust that if it's not peace, it's truly not of God. and that something's been made up. And you have the opportunity of healing, because the everyday healing of love is in the everyday. Contemplation is helpful, but it's living the everyday life. That's a schoolroom, the schoolroom of love. That is all that's here, is to remember in the truth and to offer love. That may go against everything that is being believed in the moment. When you believe someone is irritating you or not doing what you want them to do or behaving in a way that you want to judge, it takes everything sometimes to find the courage and the faith to, instead of condemning, instead of rejecting, but to hear the call for love and to comfort and bless whatever the situation is. And that there is always a learning in that moment, that it's an opportunity. There is a beautiful teaching that reminds that each beloved is your Savior. Every beloved is your Savior. How can that be when what you see in others is their annoyances or their unlovingness, and you have to go past what you think you see and open your heart and bless those beloveds as the light of God. Not as a theory, not as a concept, but truly open your heart and offer them love. Radiate that love. That's a learning. And that learning is coming from the asking to be shown. Teach me to love. There's a beautiful hymn that says, "Oh, teach me to open my heart to all those who come here to be healed." There's another hymn that says, "Oh, my Father, give me strength, give me courage on this road to be a child of yours on earth and walk the path that the Masters showed." It takes courage to not believe what you think you see, not to put your faith in those old habits of difficulty or differences. And what is it that holds everyone in those old agreements is really the belief that there is something to get out there, that there is something to get, that what you feel is missing within you is out there, and you need to get it from out there rather than from within. That either there's thousands of elements of the same thing, of trying to get approval, trying to get worth, trying to get away from your own self, instead of embracing and letting the self-hatred open and letting God heal the self-hatred that's been carried. To not be afraid of going within and touching into that self-hatred that everyone holds. Everyone carries the same self-hatred in the belief of separation. It's not true. It's not real, but it's felt as if it's real, the self-loathing. And every beloved is trying to find, even unconsciously, the place of respite from that self-loathing. And the only way that it can be healed is in its surrender into the hands of God. That you're no longer willing to accept and be afraid of going within, afraid of what you're going to find, and to truly surrender the self-hatred, and to forgive yourself for having believed in that self-hatred. Where did that self-hatred come from? The belief that you separated from God and that punishment is part of life, and that every thought that you have that is of pain and suffering of any kind, comparisons or judgments, that's a self-attack. Because when you have a thought of someone else as less or wrongdoings of any kind, you are suffering with that. That becomes your suffering. That becomes a self-attack. And there's no truth. There's no healing possible in that self-attack. So to put it on the altar of love and to refuse anymore to accept the lies of the past. Doesn't matter how they look, what you believed about who you are, what you are, none of it was true. To surrender all the roles that were given to everyone so that there could be a perception of differences. Releasing it all into the power of love and calling on that power of love, that you truly want healing, that you truly are willing for the transformation of love to take over. I use a term that is very accurate, which is there's a divine hospital that every beloved in the journey of love enters. It's a divine hospital. Others aren't noticing necessarily that you're in the divine hospital, but in the journey of learning the truth of love, in the schoolroom of love that is here, love takes you into the divine hospital and heals all of the concepts that you've carried of the past. That divine hospital is a place where you recognize that it's very tender and very beautiful, and that you're being unraveled with love, and allowing that. Allowing and not being afraid that when things seem upside down and inside out, that you're not afraid of it. That you can feel like you're being dismantled, and truly you are. But to welcome it as the divine hospital rather than to be afraid of it and try to control it in some way, but really give yourself over to it and invite with your willingness the power of transformation. It's not a concept, it's not a theory, it's true. It is a transformative healing power that is always willing to serve you. And in your yes, you will be healed. It's guaranteed. What do sad people have in common? That they have all built a shrine to the past. And this is being called to be surrendered, the shrine to the past, the self-identity, the habits, the knowing, and allowing every moment to be in God's hands. Thy will be done. And to trust that power of love. There is nothing that can't be healed. This was one of the first teachings that I received in the conscious journey of love. It was a teaching from one of the masters that I followed. And it was a teaching that just said, the stars told him that in this world everything could be healed. And for the first time in this lifetime, there was the light of encouragement that touched my heart. And I held that truth that everything could be healed. I held that firmly and deeply, that I was not and no longer condemned to this false identity, and to just follow the way of love. And that in every moment, if willing, love never left me without. And love cannot leave anyone without. It's just the willingness that is the essential invitation, that you invite the power of God to transform, and that you're willing to surrender all that you thought you knew, moment to moment. Never-ending peace of God.